Have you or someone that you love experienced a lost pregnancy? If so, I'm guessing that you might be familiar with their feelings of guilt, of self-criticism, of questioning the nature of God, maybe. So many people deal with the grief of a lost pregnancy silently and alone. So many people deal with this loss as if it was their fault for some reason, that God may be punishing them. This death was not God's will. But isn't God in charge of all life and death? And so therefore wouldn't this death and all deaths be God's will? This is really, really predominant in popular theology these days. That God is all-powerful. And yes, God is all-powerful. But God also gave humans choice. God's will is for life, and life abundantly. Death is a product of sin, and sin is a product of our choice. So we, as humans, bring about death, if you're thinking theologically. So this death, or any death that you're suffering, is not God's will. God mourns with you. God suffers with you. There are other people who have theology that says God can't suffer. Well, my friends, it's in the historic words of the Apostles' Creed. He suffered under Pontius Pilate. God suffered. So in your suffering, understand that you are not alone. This is not your fault. God did not will this to happen, and it is not a punishment. But instead, understand that life is so fragile. One minute we can have breath, and the next minute it can be gone. One minute we can have a pulse, and the next minute it can be gone. In a single moment, our entire lives can change. In a single moment, our entire worlds can change. And my friends, I want you to know that where your heart is broken, that God is right there with you. And the body of Christ, through the people in the church, should be there too. If they haven't been, in your experience, I'm sorry. Sometimes well-intending Christians say really hurtful things in a time of pain and suffering. We all want to make something better. Yet some of us don't quite understand that sometimes there's nothing you can say to make your heart stop hurting. Life is fragile. Life should be celebrated. And a loss of life should be grieved. The God I know, the God that I worship, wept with his friends when their loved one passed away. The God that I know in worship was there for them. The God that I know and worship, even in the midst of our suffering, is with us. You may say, if God is all-powerful, why didn't God stop this? Where was God when? Where was God when? In the wise words of an old pastor friend, Reverend Mike Nichols, he said, in the moment of your grief, in the moment of your suffering, God was where God has been. And that's on the cross, suffering alongside us. My friends, is there a hurt in your heart that you've never fully grieved? If so, I invite you to grieve it, to share that loss to make it public, to grieve what hurts. It is okay to grieve a life that never was. I love you, and I'm sorry. There's nothing I can say to make it better. But you can know that you're not alone, and that God is still good, and God is still loving, and God still cares for you.